Right. Okay. Then fair. Right. I'm gonna keep it on 8. Is it 80 decibels?
I've just got mine on the automatic one.
See, I can't see one for automatic. There's voice activity and push to talk limited, but that's
So
all I've
I
got.
click on, let me see if I can get this up. It says automatically determine input sensitivity. Does it
Oh, I
say that
can't
for
see
you?
anything like that.
No.
No.
Okay.
Echo cancellation, noise reduction, automatic gain control, but they're all activated, so I don't know what else
No idea.
there is really, apart from input volume. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Oh well,
I'm sure we'll make do with what we've got. But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
I've been really excited to do this, and I'm sorry about the
mm,
other day. I booked you in to do this
no,
the
no,
other
don't
day, and
worry
then
about it. It's fine, mate. It's
my
fine.
wife
It's not
was
a problem
like,
at all.
You completely forgot that we're going to see your family." Well, not see them, but stand
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
and chat to
Mm.
them from a distance. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll book it in for the next day." So I told you Thursday, and then my wife was like, "That's our anniversary," and I was like, "Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah, sorry about that."
I fooled you.
I said Friday, and I was like, "Cool," and you were free, luckily. But yeah, so for people out there who don't know what me and Mike Farmer have got planned, but we are planning on doing a lot of Ray Harryhausen commentaries for the Terradome channel. Starting with Mighty Joe Young, which is one of his best, I would argue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And probably one of the best films ever made, just regardless of like ape movies or like monster movies or whatever you want to say, just movies in general. I think this is one of the best.
It's definitely one of the stronger contenders, I have to say. I mean, from just refreshing my memory on some of the research that I've been doing and some of the people that I've been speaking to, it amazes me how much this takes from King Kong, but just applies it in a different way.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
it's really, really good.
It's almost like I would say this is probably the best sequel to King Kong, even though it's not a sequel to King Kong.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
like if they ever did a follow up. If this was called Son of Kong, then obviously they
Mm,
tweaked it so it was on Skull Island and stuff at the beginning. Like this would have been an amazing follow up to the original King Kong.
definitely.
But yeah, I've got my DVD in and it's paused on the black screen. And if anyone is following along, make sure you're paused at the beginning. I don't know how available this film is to everyone out there.
I think it's fairly available. I got my copy on Amazon, but there are different versions depending on how far you want to go into kind of like the behind the scenes stuff. So the version I've got is just basically the film, and that is it. There's nothing else on there. But there
Okay.
are versions out there that have, like the one you have, it has the commentary with Terry Moore and Ray Harryhausen. There's a commentary with Ray Harryhausen and John Landis and I believe John Walsh as well, who's one of the trustees at the foundation. So there's quite a few iterations out there. It's just depending on whether they come as a package deal or whether it's the film on its own is the real question, I think.
Yeah, mine's also got two new featurettes. It says A Conversation with Ray Harryhausen and the Chiodo Brothers.
Chiodo Brothers, yeah, that's right.
Ray Harryhausen and Mighty Joe Young. A theatrical
Mm-hmm.
trailer, and it's got subtitles in English, French, and Spanish.
Oh, mine hasn't got subtitles. I'm gonna have to mime mine.
But yeah, anyway, we should probably begin. So
Yeah.
I'll get my DVD ready. Play in 3, 2, 1, A.
And there's no beating about the bush with this one. You just jump straight into it.
That's the way I like it.
None of this universal 5 minutes long credit sequences.
No, it's instantly saying Mighty J. Ugg. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
so
first
go
watched
on.
this for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago now. I hadn't seen it.
Okay.
I like that it says Mr. Joseph Young as himself.
As himself, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I hadn't seen it and I'd heard about it a lot. So I picked up this copy that I'm watching right now. And this was the copy that I watched when I first ever saw the film. And I was just blown away. And it's instantly one of my favourite movies of all time and possibly my second favourite Harryhausen film after Jason and the Argonauts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that.
And I
I think
always Also, go on.
No, no, no. I was going to say for me, I think when I first came across this, I was probably maybe 8 or 9 years old. I remember my Nana used to tape a lot of the old kind of like dinosaur monster type movies on, like, I think it was Channel 4 or something, quite a lot. And Mighty Joe Young was one of those recordings, but I don't remember it as vividly as I did with King Kong.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's because I just didn't feel as engaged with the story because there wasn't any dinosaurs in it, or whether it was I just didn't appreciate it for what it actually was.
Yeah, it's a
But
more cerebral story, I would say, compared
yeah,
to
yeah,
King Kong. It's more low
mm,
key and I'd say a bit more of a arguably a grounded movie. It's not
mm,
like, there's no fantastical moments of like dinosaurs and Kong fighting.
mm,
It sort of, aside from having, I don't know, the ape, everything sort of seems to be in sort of the realms of reality for the most part.
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Um,
I actually think it was based on a true story, actually, as well, if I remember correctly from some of the information that I read up on. I can't remember the exact details, but all I remember reading was something along the lines of it was based on the story of a someone that lived in Africa who found a baby gorilla and brought up this gorilla in the family and used to dress it up in like human clothes. But I can't remember the name of the gorilla or when in period in time it was all done or what. But yeah, it feels like for the story that it is based off, you'd think that's just almost like a flight of fancy in itself, really.
yeah, yeah. Now, how do you say the director's last name? Ernest B. Shodasak?
Yeah, Shodasak, yeah.
Shodasak.
That's how I've been pronouncing it anyway.
I love the little
That's one of
actress.
the oh, she's brilliant. She
Yeah.
sells the part so well. But that's one of the as I say, the disappointing things with these sort of films, that everyone remembers Ray's name attached to it, but no one remembers anybody else apart from maybe the odd composer or the odd actor or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of this, the character, the girl. It's been about a year or so since I've watched this. I can't remember.
So her name is Jill Young.
Jill, that's it.
Jill, yeah. Oh, my granddad used to have a torch like that. Used to pretend it was like a lightsaber.
I think my granddad had one, but it was like green. It wasn't metal.
Mm.
The dark green one.
Weighed a ton as well. It used to take like 80 batteries or something like that. It was like,
Bloody hell.
you could kill someone with it if you hit them hard enough.
Light them up. I think, would you say this is probably one of the most, I know in the circles of the stop motion
Mm.
community, this is probably well received and revered, but like in sort of general audience, not necessarily even general audiences, but like audiences are sort of between general audiences
Mm.
and audiences who are like well into the craft of stop motion
Yeah.
and these sort of movies. Do you think this film is kind of forgotten?
I wouldn't say so. In terms of like the Harryhausen fandom, it's a very much beloved film by whether it be super fans or just kind of casual fans of his work. In terms of the world of filmmaking, I would say it's definitely forgotten about.
Mm.
Because even when the remake came out in '98, I think it was, I don't think many people were even aware that it was a remake of this film.
But that's what I mean, because
Um,
I was one of those people. I didn't know that this
mm,
was that the '98 version was a remake until someone. I think it was when I went online and I saw someone
mm,
talk about it, and I was like, "Hang on a second, there was an old one." And me
yeah,
being me, I love old monster movies, and I was like, "How has this flown under my radar all these years?"
mm,
So that's why it took me so long to get around it, and that's why I just get this
yeah,
feeling that like uh, it's like people in the Jurassic Park community, for one example. It's like I don't
mm,
hear many people talk about. They talk about King Kong a lot, but I don't hear many people talk about this. And
mm,
it surprises me because of how like innovative and really well made this film is.
yeah. I mean, this in terms of visual effects side of things, this actually pioneered a lot of stuff. Even after King Kong, this was like pushing the boundary on a lot of techniques and technologies at the time that just weren't even around back in the 1930s. I mean,
Mm.
the early stages of the development of this film, this was originally going to be made in color, and they just couldn't do it because of how much money it would have cost, not only to process the film, but to create the new technologies to accommodate for seeing things in color effectively.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
I know
So
they have.
the only remnants of that color decision that's been left in the film is the orphanage scene at the end of the movie.
Yeah, which obviously, when I picked this up on DVD and I was watching it for the first time, I'd only ever seen pictures of this film that are from the black and white sequences. So when I was watching this, I was blown away when we got to the orphanage sequence and it all turns red and like to
Yeah.
emulate the fire. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is such a simple use of a color change. I didn't realize that obviously they were going to plan to do the whole thing color though, but I think it actually works as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like
It
there's no
really
other.
enhances that scene.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any other film like it that does that, that uses just one shade of color for an entire sequence. I love all this. Used the real gorilla as well, didn't they?
The majority of this film is something like 20% stock footage, and the rest is all sound stages and stuff.
Mm.
I'm not sure whether they brought the gorilla into the studio or whether they shot it at a zoo. I want to say they shot it at a zoo, but I can't remember.
Would you want to holster your gun like how he's got it pointed? Where I mean, that is.
Well,
He has got that
it
very
looks.
much in the middle of his.
I suppose when he's leaning down, there's odd, the odd comfort side of things. But yeah, I personally wouldn't holster it there myself.
Yeah, I guess this came out in 1949.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah,
obviously,
so it
color.
started production in 1946, and it didn't get completed until 49. So color was still a very new thing back then.
Yeah, I was gonna
And in
say, yeah, there wouldn't
fact,
be too much too many
mm,
color films. It'd be a very expensive process.
yeah, and in fact, thinking about it, the film before this that O'Brien was working on, War Eagles, that was supposed to be his first color film. But when the Second World War broke out, everything just stopped on that film, and eventually, by the time the war had ended, everything was like, well, it's a bit rubbish now by what we need for film audiences, so they just decided to scrap it altogether. And I think he was doing Guanji at the same time as well, actually, in that interim.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so he was working on a lot of films at the time,
Hmm.
at least trying to get them off the ground. But it was either just poor timing, or it was too expensive, or resources weren't available at the time. So yeah, he was working on a lot.
Yeah. Got this little piano that she got out a minute ago. That's foreshadowing what's coming later on.
Yes, and I like that tune as well. Beautiful Dreamer. Actually, I have that for me trailer for Wildlife on Mars. Actually, Beautiful Dreamer. If I can
That's
get my composer to do a version of it. So, got any trivia here that I can spout out? Well, we got some
But
dialogue.
that's the thing.
So the
The opening of this film, like, it takes a while to build up, and it's not.
mm,
It's not an action movie for the most. It's not like
no,
King Kong where they go
mm,
to the island and then it's like pretty much action while they're on the island until the end of the film. Essentially, like, this film is
mm,
more about. I don't know. It's more of a character piece than anything
yeah,
else.
yeah, I agree with that. It's the action where it happens is required, but I wouldn't say this is an action film in the slightest. It's very much a character driven story.
Yeah. And now we fade to New York 12 years later. What I like about this is like legitimate New York at that
Mm,
time. So it's not. It's like when you watch like films like Peter Jackson's King Kong, they have to remake that era, whereas they were filming this at the time,
mm,
so they can. I guess all the costumes and stuff are like still quite new. They're like only like a decade.
yeah,
Well, it's meant to be set in the same
same year, yeah.
same year.
So
Yeah.
'49 or well, at least the '40s anyway.
And here we have
So
Robert
now we have
Armstrong.
yep, Max O'Hara, which interestingly enough, Ruth Rose, the screen writer for this, she based Max O'Hara and this chap, what was his name again? Hang on, Greg Johnson. There we go. She based these two personalities on the director and Marion C. Cooper. So when she did the screenplay for King Kong as well, she did the exact same thing for Carl Denham and Jack Driscoll.
That's what I mean. Like this being like, I know it's not a sequel to King Kong, but like that, it could have been very easily written as one if they just changed Robert Armstrong's character. Is it Denham? It is Denham, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, Carl Denham. Yeah,
I always get
Kong, yeah.
Who is it? Jack? No, there's Jack. What's the last name of that character?
Jack Driscoll's the first mate.
Jack Driscoll and Denham. I don't know why. I always get those two mixed up. Who's who? And I don't know why. I've done it ever since I was a kid. I always wanted to say Jack Driscoll's the guy shooting the film and Carl Denham's the guy who runs the boat, but then it's the other way around.
Yeah.
But I like he plays a different character in this, so it's like he mixes it up.
Yeah, he didn't want to bring his Carl Denham persona into this one, so he lightened the tone a little bit more, which I think plays better in this film. If he'd played it, say, the serious character in Kong in this, I don't think it would have made him a sympathetic character by the end of it. Whereas because he is a bit of what's what I'm looking for, a bit more light-headed compared to Denham. Denham was very much the level-headed. I need to do this and I need to do this now. Whereas Max O'Hara is more of a I need to have big lights and it needs to be this and it needs to be very showy and he's very kind of like enthusiastic, a bit eccentric a little bit.
Well, see, it's going to sound really silly, but I would have accepted it in this if they'd like written a line where he was like talking about his brother who'd caught that big ape and made the papers.
Yeah.
And it's like his twin brother, and it's like he's playing, and that's why he's like kind of like has kind of similar traits in part, but like he's an entirely different character, but he has like flecks of like his brother's in there.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I can say about this film at this point, so when you first met O'Brien back in 1938, he kept in touch with. I keep referring to him as Obi actually in this instance. Ray kept meeting up with Obi and basically just talking to him about the stuff he was working on, what have you. And when Mighty Joe Young was in his very early infancy, he spoke to his wife about giving Ray a chance on this film. So he took over his footage of Evolution, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Ray was working on a short film called Evolution of the World. It's on the early years collection DVD, and it basically is all stop motion footage of just Ray animating dinosaurs. But when Fantasia came along in the 40s, it had the same sequence already in there. So Ray just stopped doing it altogether. But he used that footage to take around to places to show people what he could do. So when he presented O'Brien and Marion C. Cooper with the footage, they just said, "Yeah, you're effectively O'Brien's protege for this film." So he became first technician on that grounds alone.
That's crazy. And it's like,
and he was 20,
and you think like
and he was only 26 at the time as well.
And then you think like back in those days, because obviously Harryhausen had seen King Kong and he like, looked up to O'Brien. Now he was working with him.
Yep.
And then actually taken over, like.
Yeah, well, I think I don't know if it was O'Brien or whether it was just one of the other technicians at the time, but people were saying that Ray's animation work was actually better than O'Brien's, even at this point in his career.
Yeah.
You could already see that.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like
the torch being passed on at that point.
Yeah, and like you can, if you put Ray Harryhausen's animation side by side next to Willis O'Brien's,
Mm,
Obviously, Ray Harryhausen's is better, but at the same time,
mm,
that's a bit unfair considering O'Brien basically pioneered the craft.
yeah,
Well, he didn't like he wasn't the guy who invented it, but he was definitely the person who showed how much could be done with it,
yeah,
especially with King
yeah,
Kong.
yeah.
Like he could
That's
be
right.
like, look
Yeah.
at this. Like it was almost like you could do anything
Mm.
if you really put your
I
mind to it.
mean,
And then Ray Harryhausen was the person who took that to the next level. Okay,
yeah,
I'll take you up on that challenge.
yeah, definitely. I mean, considering that O'Brien at this point in the game, it's probably only been animated maybe for about what was it now? 1925 was his first, and I think there's some bits before then. So yeah, it'd probably only been animating for maybe about 30, 40 years.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's when you look at it in that scheme of things, I mean, given aside all world events that were going on at that time and how often films were made, he wasn't animating that much. So even by the time you got to Kong, he was he had perfected his movements, but not by
Mm.
much. And it's only till you get to Mighty Joe Young that's when you start to see things being finessed. And then later films like Black Scorpion and oh, was it the Giant Behemoth? You can really see that kind of like fluidity in his animation compared to like his late stuff, like earlier stuff like Kong.
Yeah. When did O'Brien stop? When did he retire?
He well, technically he didn't retire. He kept working pretty much all the way into the 60s. The problem was though is that majority of people just kind of like messed him around and misused him. So some people would hire him on film projects for his name, and then other people would get him involved in something and then just not use him correctly. Like
Yeah.
one good example that I think was pretty much the nail in the coffin for him was he was trying to get off the ground a
Oh, here we go.
project called
Sorry to
oh here we
interrupt.
go.
Yeah, there's Mighty Joe
Yeah.
Young for the first time. Everything about this shot's crazy. I do feel bad for the real lion that they're like messing around. Like,
Well, surprisingly enough, I mean, considering how much you see these lions getting like thrown around all over the shop in this film, none of them were harmed. I
yeah,
really had to do extensive research on this to see what the animal rights stuff was on. It was like, no, they just kept tossing them around, messing and poking, getting to do stuff. But yeah, none of them were harmed. And it was like, okay.
I'd say on one hand that's good, but on another,
Mm,
a lion. If you were near that lion and it was out, you're dead. So
yeah,
it's like,
exactly. Yeah,
but yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
yeah. I forgot what I was saying now. What was it? I was talking about. I'm just in awe of this
Yeah,
sequence at the moment. What was I talking about? Oh God. Oh, I forgot what it was. Oh, it'll come back to me at some point. I'm sure it will.
it's funny because Mighty Joe Young is not like he's big. I mean, he's bigger than any gorilla that we've ever seen in
Yeah.
real life, but he's not like ridiculously big.
Yeah. I think he's only supposed to be like 10 or 12 foot, something like that.
Mm.
He's not a big character by any stretch. Give me that gun.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Now, one of the things I didn't realize about O'Brien was that he was an absolute horse fanatic. So whenever he could, would always love to put horses in his films. So this roping sequence that you're about to see with Joe was originally supposed to be used in Guanji, but they scrapped that idea and put it in Mighty Joe Young instead. And then, of course, Ray would then replicate that for the Valley of Guanji, where they roped the Allosaur.
Did O'Brien have anything to do with Guanji then?
Yeah, he effectively created the whole idea from scratch. It was his own unique idea. So at the
No,
time
I'm guessing
when they were
he came up
trying
with that
to,
after King Kong, right? Because the
yes,
storylines.
yes, that's right, yeah. So I think it was, I'm trying to remember now. I want to say it might have been 1938. I think I can't
Right.
remember now. It's been a while since I've actually looked into that date for it. But yeah, so it was his own creation. He was going to do uh, cowboys going into the desert and finding this lost valley. And there was going to be a Triceratops, there was going to be a T-Rex, there was going to be a Pteranodon and a herd of Eohippus, but he could just never get the project off the ground, unfortunately. So when Ray adopted the screenplay, he had it in his collection the whole time. And then, of course, when it came around to 1969 for it to be released, he basically just dusted it off and changed a few bits. And what you see on the screen is pretty much O'Brien's baby.
Awesome. So cool. Yeah, because this rope sequence, is very. Oh god, it goes in his mouth.
I just love this. Absolutely love this. So in this particular shot, you have the live action horse is obviously acting towards nothing. You have the stop motion Joe in the foreground. So he's in front of a glass plate with a matte painting above him. But also in the foreground, from the odd occasion, you'll see a stop motion horse run in front of him. So it gives the illusion that the whole thing is one continual shot rather than layered.
Yeah, I noticed that they did that with the lion when it jumped out of that cage a minute ago. It was like stop motion, and then we've got a stop motion man here.
Here we go. Yeah, so some of the human puppets that you get in this were retooled from puppets that he'd made for War Eagles, which is another film that he never got to make in the early 30s, I think late 40s, early 40s even. So he had puppets of giant eagles, I think it was a allosaur, and native Viking descendants that would ride these eagles. But when the film was dropped again because of the war, he repurposed those figures to work in Mighty Joe Young.
Right. I just love that, like using whatever they've got left over. Why not, you know? It's just like I can't imagine like what it must have been like to see this for like the first time.
I will say though,
I mean, like on back in the day, I should have stipulated that because I did see this for the first time. I meant first time back in the day, like with the grainy old film screen, and like because that must help with like the effects a little bit more. You know what I mean?
It probably does. I mean, the effects on. I know I'm watching this on a smaller screen, and it's not quite the same as watching it on a big screen. But the effects in this actually hold up really well.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
Here we got an interesting shot coming up in a moment.
So, are they King Kong's roars?
Yes. So they use the same roar for Joe as they do in Kong. So Joe's now on top of that matte painting, and O'Hara is going to run past now. Okay, so just watch very carefully.
So good.
As he grabs him. Right, so Joe picked up that guy and swung him over the matte painting. Do you want to know how they managed to achieve it?
Did he? Did it switch from a live action guy to a stop motion guy very briefly?
Sort of, but not quite the way that you would expect. What they did was they filmed the live action footage of the guy swinging the full arc. Then the shots where he started then going into the matte painting, they blew up the film cells so they could superimpose cutouts of the figure going over the matte painting. So after a certain point on the matte painting, they just used photocopies the whole way back and forth to give the illusion that he was actually going over the matte painting.
So clever. So
For
cool.
years, it bugged me looking at it. It's like, I know that particular frame when you get up there, it's something not quite natural about it. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out how they'd done it.
That's funny because I never even noticed it. I thought he just swung the guy. I didn't even notice it was a matte painting that he was entering. I was sold by the illusion. You've ruined it for me, Mike. But no, I honestly, I didn't even know. Like, I couldn't tell.
And again, the beauty of this being black and white, you can hide things like that a lot easier than what you could have done if this was in colour. Oh yeah, you can see it. Oh damn. Yeah. So when he lifted stop motion Jill up
Hmm.
onto the ledge, behind him there's a sheet of glass that they have the matte painting um painted onto so they could superimpose this live action section a lot smoother. But the lighting technician obviously hadn't checked where his light was. So when he's lifting her up, you can see the doll's reflection in the glass.
Oh, okay.
It's only for like a split second, but if you know what you're looking for, you'll see it.
Yeah,
It's
I
quite
didn't know that.
noticeable. You'll be watching back now, going, right, I'm going to see all these bits.
Yeah. I was looking at admittedly I was looking at Joe's fur to see how like much it like wiggles around like King Kong's did, but it does
Mm.
like Harryhausen sort of perfects it a bit more.
Oh, I've got an interesting story on that, how they got around that. So in the previous Kong, as you know, they used rabbit fur. So it was a lot longer and a lot coarser, and they kind of perfected it a little bit in how to apply it to the puppet. But of course, like you say, when you were animating the puppet, you would see those thumbprints in there. Whereas what they did for Joe was they used unborn calf hide. They would stretch the hide over a frame, comb the hair so it went into sort of like a uniformed direction, dipped the hair into wax, then spun it over once it had cooled, put beetle larvae on the hide flesh, let them eat all the skin off. Then they would pour latex into the exposed hairs. When that had cured, they'd spin it over again, melt all the wax off, and then you would have a rubberized gorilla flesh.
That is crazy. How did they work that
It's
out?
I have absolutely no idea, but the fact that they did it, I'm just so grateful because it just makes watching Joe that more enjoyable.
Yeah, because
But the
that was the
crazy,
thing about like with King Kong the original. Obviously, they were learning what to do,
mm,
so like you can see where all the fingerprints are on his fur and stuff every now. Well,
mm,
not all the time, but like a good amount of time,
yeah,
noticeable amount of time, should I say?
mm,
But in this, it's like it's less noticeable.
yeah,
By the way,
no,
I always
really
think
good job.
this guy who's playing the cowboy he looks like Robert Patrick, who played the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
He does a little bit now you say that.
I see it looking for John Connor, his father or his granddad.
Mm, that's the stop motion shot there. You've got all the
Yeah.
birds flying past there, all stop motion, matte paintings, and all the rest of it. Now, would you believe she's only 20 years old in this?
Is he?
Not he, Jill,
Oh, Jill
Terry Moore.
is.
Yeah, yeah. Jill's only like 18, 19 when she started filming. So by the time the film came out, she was 20. Like, she was a child actress before this, but even so, it's like, I wouldn't have thought she was that young in this at all.
Mm. Yeah, no, she looks older than
Mm.
that. Sorry.
And she's still alive, actually. I think she's about 91 now, I believe.
Man, I hope she has YouTube. Watches our commentary on it.
Young whippersnappers telling all the secrets. You ruin the illusion.
I really like Jill's
So,
character in this. I think she's really well acted, really well
yeah,
like written, and I
yeah.
know like whenever people talk about Blum, strong female characters in films and all that
Mm,
sort of stuff. So everyone talks about Sarah Connor and
mm,
bloody was it Ellen Ripley, which fair enough. But like
mm.
my mind goes to like Jill in Mighty Joe Young, and I say that, and some people might be like, "Well, you didn't even remember her name 5 minutes ago." Like,
Well,
well,
I
I
don't
know I
know.
remember her character, and that she's like, I don't know. I just think she's really, and I mean strong, not as in physically strong. I mean strong as in
Yeah, yeah.
a likable character that.
Oh, yeah.
Bring.
She's definitely a likable character. I mean, in
Mm.
terms of kind of like having a personality that you can warm up to, she's definitely got that. I think in terms of, I would say she's a lovable character rather than a strong character personally, because although her welfare for Joe is always top priority,
Mm.
she does get led along into this situation, really. So it's kind of like the glitz and the glamour is somewhat sold to her in a way that makes her think, oh yeah, this will be
Well, that's
fun and
yeah.
adventurous, and that kind of like
It's
takes
naivety
away
because
the
she's
yeah,
never been
naivety.
exposed
Yeah,
to that sort of world
yeah,
before because she's only
yeah.
lived out here in the middle of Africa or whatever.
Mm,
She doesn't know how
mm.
corrupt, uh, you know, the
This
city
is a
can
Ray
be.
shot. This is a shot that Ray animated.
Yeah, look at the
I believe
fur.
that's with the Jennifer puppet, I think, if I remember rightly.
The what puppet? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, you won't know this. Yeah, so Ray, when Ray was animating one of the Joe Youngs, he referred to one of them as Jennifer because I think who was it now? It was just give me a second, just to check the notes. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? No, I've got to write all these notes down and I can't find anything for love nor money. Hang on, I'll try to. Anyway, yeah. So he named it after an actress. Can't remember the actress, but he saw the film while they were shooting Mighty Joe Young, Jewel of the Sun, I think it was called, 19 what was it now, 46, I think it was. So he just associated that name with this particular puppet. So whenever he gets hold of a Mighty Joe Young puppet, he would always refer to a particular one as if this is Jennifer. So he knew which was Jennifer. And I think there was only 4 puppets ever made as well.
That
So
was going to be my
one,
next question. How many puppets were made for the?
yeah, so there was 4 15-inch ones. There was one 10-inch one, and what was the size of the other one? The other one was 5-inch. So they
Okay,
so they had a total of 6 puppets, but 4 15-inch ones.
right. Okay, for different
So,
perspectives and deep.
mm, well, each one was built up individually by Marcel Delago.
Mm.
So if you're not familiar with his technique, he would basically build each one with individual muscles made out of upholstery foam and then would stitch on the fur afterwards and then build up any other details like the skin textures and so forth. So although there were 4 different Joes, they were just close enough to each other that you couldn't really tell the difference between each of the shots.
Honestly, I didn't know that, so I just thought there was one or two, like as a backup puppet, just in case one got
No,
destroyed.
yeah, no, they had 4 on the go at any one time. So um Ray did about 95% of the animation in this film, but there was also another animator who was relatively new to the scene called Peter Peterson. So
That's a great
he'd
name.
worked. It's a great name, isn't it? He worked with O'Brien previously. I can't remember
Mm.
if it was on Kong or a different film, but anyway, he'd been wanting to do stop motion for years, and he would watch Ray while he's animating. So he asked Obi if he could actually have a chance at doing a
Just
couple
for
of shots.
context for the listeners, Obi is short for Willis O'Brien.
Yeah, Will O'Brien. Yeah, that's what Ray referred to him as, and I slip into it sometimes
Yeah.
myself. Um, so yeah, so he asked him if he could give a shot. They give him a try, and yeah, he did a really good job. I can't remember the scenes in particular that he did. I know one of them was the back end of the truck scene later on in the film, so it kind of gave a bit more of a whimsical, charming aspect to Joe as opposed to Ray, who was very much kind of like, I want to be a gorilla
Right.
rather than referring to actual gorilla references.
Mm. I love this whole setup of this like African. Yeah, what is it, like a restaurant show?
It's just like a show. It's like what do they call it now? So like on one of those side shows that you get in the States.
Yeah.
Like stage performances and what
Something
have
you
you.
get in like Las Vegas or
Yeah, that's
something.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like a themed restaurant or show
Mm,
place. It's like I just love the scale of it, and I think I said when I watched this for the first time that like if I ever got the chance to write like a Jurassic spin-off film, especially after
mm,
now, after Fallen Kingdom and the idea that the dinosaurs have gone global,
yeah.
I'd love to do a
Mm,
story that's like this, about like maybe a particular single species of dinosaur that is like caught and used in a show like this, and they have the lions behind the counter, so like behind there you'd have like, I don't know, like a couple of baryonyx in like a huge tank that's behind it, and it's like you're like looking at it like, oh my god, this is gonna go so horribly wrong at any minute. That's what I
Now, could
felt
you
when I
imagine?
watched this. Like when you're watching this, you're looking at those lions and you're looking at Joe
Yeah.
when he's not there yet, but
Mm.
you're just like you're just waiting for it to like all go horribly pear shaped.
Yeah. Could you imagine if someone like John Hammond had opened Jurassic Park in that sort of fashion, though?
Yeah, that's what
It's
I
like
mean. It's
raptors in a glass cage,
like
serving
behind a
drinks behind
bar.
the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can I do you for? I know my way around the kitchen.
Yeah. Have that scene where some person's just looking at a raptor behind the glass and they're just constantly drinking because they're terrified. They're like, they've developed a drinking disorder just by merely looking at the setup of this establishment. But no, I just really love the idea of this like way of them exploiting the Joe. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like what is it? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. It's like they're they're trying to like enjoy the culture of Africa, but they're just doing it in such the wrong way that it's like it's too over the top. It's ridiculous. His hat is huge. See, this must be different for people who thought this was just going to be like a remake of King Kong, because it's like halfway. Well, it's not even halfway through the film yet, and like he's doing the whole like the eighth wonder of the world, Kong,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Well, this is the thing that always puzzles me, is that although it's, you've got the same producer and director, you've got Robert Armstrong, you've got Willis O'Brien. That alone seems to make people think that, okay, it's a film about a giant gorilla. It's just basically a rehash of King Kong. Even the director thought it was a rehash of Kong. So I don't understand where people make that link to it, because to me, the pacing of this is different, the tone
Yeah.
of this is different, and where the action is situated, it's a completely different
It
scenario.
is a completely different movie, but there is
Yeah.
like you can't help but draw some similarities. But at the same time, it's like that's why I said like it would have made. I mean, I love it as a single film, and I wouldn't want it to be a sequel to Kong anyway. Just saying, like it's probably like this would make for a better sequel to the original Kong than Son of Kong did.
Yeah.
Awesome looking piano.
Just so you know as well, Terry Moore never knew how to play the piano. She actually taught herself how to play and to play Beautiful Dreamer just for this film.
Oh, really?
You can sort of hear it in the way that she plays, that she's just not quite sure about herself. But yeah, what you actually see in there is actually her playing the piano.
I mean, look at these visuals. She's like floating up. There's this bridge across the stage. Then
This
it
shot
reveals.
was started by Ray, but then Pete Peterson took over. Now, I don't know if this will ruin the illusion for you, but how many stop motion elements do you see in there right now?
What were they revealed?
When you're seeing Joe and Jill?
I'm only really seeing Joe. That's the only thing that I can think. But I guess. Oh no! Now it's like just them. Yeah, Jill's definitely stop motion.
Yeah. So originally the plan was to have Jill on a rotating platform, but they couldn't do it, so they had to do stop motion for some parts, but then integrate it with a live action version in others. And I think it was down to the way that it would have ended up being compositing on, so that they couldn't quite get the composite to line up properly. So they just decided to, because at some point in that turn, you can see Joe sort of like slightly shaking the table, whereas now it's like completely perfectly still.
See, this is why I don't get how they did the shot where she's on top and it's live action, like actually her, and then he's stop motion underneath. But that middle bit, like I honestly this dumbfounds me. I don't know how they did this.
Mm.
So well done.
Yeah.
I want to clap. Bravo, bravo.
You can see why it won an Oscar.
Oh, did this win an Oscar, did it? For
This
its
won
effects?
an Oscar. Yeah. Best visual effects, it won the Oscar. And it was actually received by O'Brien. So if you look on YouTube, I can't remember what number Academy Award it was, but if you type in Willis O'Brien Oscar into YouTube, there's actual footage of him going on stage and picking up the Oscar. And as far as I'm aware, that's the only video footage of Willis O'Brien ever.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to watch it because I've only seen pictures of.
Yeah. I don't even think it says that much in it. I think it just says thank you or something into the microphone. I think that's about it. But I think the most thrilling part for me in watching that video is that somewhere in the audience is Ray as well. Ray went to the Oscar as well. It's like, oh, I wish I'd been the fly on the wall at that time.
Yeah, I love these strong men. This like idea of these strong men are gonna like go. God, that guy's hairy.
Almost like Alien Resurrection hairy.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a good contender for the guy from Alien Resurrection. I'm gonna have to send Clayton a picture of that. Yeah, I love that they've got these guys and they're all gonna go up against Joe. What does the last guy do again? I can't remember now because it's something really like. Oh no, there's this guy who just bends the little nail. That's it.
So what I didn't realize about these guys as well, these are all actual wrestlers from the time.
Oh really?
Like proper wrestlers.
So if this was
So
made today, there would be like Dwayne the Rock Johnson. And, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like of all the things that you would do for a film, it's like, oh yeah, we need some proper wrestlers. Yeah, we'll just get these guys.
God, look at this guy. He is a. God, he could play Frankenstein's monster.
He could. I can't remember his name, but he was one of those sort of like actors that was always like brought in to play the ugly thug in like gangster films and what have you. And I think, if I remember rightly, there was a villain in The Rocketeer.
I was gonna
had his prosthetics based on him, if I remember rightly.
I was gonna say I watched The Rocketeer yesterday. That was one of the films we watched on our anniversary, and that was the first time I ever watched it because I'd never seen it before.
Okay.
Yeah. And Bam Sam was always telling me that, like, he was like, "How have you not seen that film?" I was like, "I've just never seen it, and I don't even really know what it's about." So I watched it yesterday, and I fell in love. What a great movie! So fun.
It's a really good film. Yeah.
But that guy with the prosthetics, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, that is such a weird choice to have that. But now seeing him, I'm like, yes, that makes sense. Makes so much sense. Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch that film. It's been probably about 10, 15 years since I last watched that. And that's got stop motion effects in that film as well. I need to figure out where they are.
I think I did notice them, but I just have this idea of like all these strong men are gonna.
And again, could you imagine something like this being done in Jurassic Park? Like Blue trying to be pulled away by a bunch of strong men. Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Well, this is what I mean. It's like you'd need to do an equivalent of this, like maybe like a load of horse. You tie a rope to a load of horses, and then one to like the end of whatever dinosaur is going to be the show, the thing in the show, and then, or heck, if it's like just have it a cloned ape, just remake Mighty Joe Young and have it like a genetically engineered big ape, and then have a load of dinosaurs there as well. But there's so many ways you could do stuff like that.
Yeah,
it'd be really interesting to see. But then again, then part of me is just like, well, what's the point? Because you watch this now and this film's done. Look at this, it's so good.
Yeah.
How strong Ray Harryhausen is.
Damn straight.
I also feel sad about this is because like Joe, she's telling him what to do, but it's like this is where they start to, especially when they're playing the music and they start throwing things at them. It's like they begin to realize that like wrong.
Mm. Now, there's a really good behind-the-scenes photo somewhere of this shot without Joe in the shot. So you're seeing this actor being brought up on a rope that's got this obvious kink in it. I still can't for the life of me figure out how they've done it, because there's no obvious tether or anything on the other end of this rope where you would expect there to be something pulling it up and down. So I don't know if it's like a rod that's been wrapped up in rope or what, but it's just blows my mind
Might
to
be on like
think
a
that they could
crane
do
or
that
something.
back in the 40s.
I have to say that shot where the guy was punching Joe, the eye line of the guy was like perfect. Like Ray matched that up.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. He really did. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but when Ray was working on this film, in order to get into the mindset of being a gorilla, he, for the duration of the film, reverted to eating sticks of celery and carrots during his tea breaks, just to get in that mindset of being a gorilla.
What he'd
So whenever
actually
he
do
would,
that.
he would actually do that. And to be honest with you, it's what a lot of animators do. It's like even I did it when doing Wildlife on Mars. I would get on my hands and knees and pretend to be the ceratopsian, just to get in that mindset of, what does your body do? What do your limbs do? And that's pretty much what Ray would be doing as well.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
Like I pose and stuff for Dino Defense. You get like the character do what I like to call a bit of acting for it.
Yeah. So any cage scenes that you see in this part of the film now, where Joe's in the cage, they were all of Ray's first ever shots. So
Right.
going from working on his own stuff to working on puppet tunes, to then basically jumping into the feature film industry with doing all the small subtle movements and the kind of like the gentle mannerisms and the boredom and the drunken scenes as well. They were all slight compared to everything else that he'd been working on, where it's quite extreme. So he was, as he put it, he was baptized by fire.
Right. Baptized by fire. Oh, so yeah, these shots of like stage.
Yeah. O'Brien never told him how to animate. He would literally just kind of like, he would tell him what the scene was to be shot, and then he would just leave him to it. Even when it came down to the rushes afterwards, he would always be impressed by what Ray ever did. I don't think he actually made many retakes for this either.
Don't blame him. You see this guy, like he just looks at Joe and slips through the bars like the T-1000. He starts going, but his gun gets stuck and he's like, he has to like pull his gun through.
Unlike the Jill's father, he's actually got he's in the right place.
So yeah, they've been here 10 weeks.
What's that now? It's like what, 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hell of a long time. And considering we've all been in lockdown for what, 2 months?
Oh my word. I just got a text off my boss today from my work saying that the building's closed till the end of July now.
Oh, right.
Another month added up.
Jesus.
Pile it on. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
Oh, of course not.
I'm sure nothing will go wrong if we're keeping everyone locked up like rats.
Oh, yeah,
Eating the
that's one thing
cutlery.
I meant to say. Peter Peterson, that I mentioned before, was the other animator that was working on this
Yes.
alongside Ray. Ray had basically been animating for about 6 months on his own, and then they brought in Peter later on to try and speed up the process of animating. Even Marcel Delago, who made the puppets, did a little bit of animation, and even Willis O'Brien didn't get much time to do any animation because he was always like prepping and getting ready for the next shot to be done. But one thing I didn't realize with Peter is that he was actually suffering with multiple sclerosis, and he had to have two leg braces.
Right.
So not only was it somebody that was disabled that was animating, but I think in some cases they actually customized his animation space so that he could animate comfortably without, rather than saying, right, well, if you can't do the job for so many hours, then you can't do it full stop. But no, they actually
Yeah, I see.
accommodated him.
I mean, I don't want to be too stereotypical here, but I feel like there's this like idea of like what people were like back in these sort of days, and they're
Mm,
always like so mean and
mm,
like unforgiving or not understanding. Whereas I think that's really far from the truth.
yeah.
And now this scene is like one of the standout scenes of the film
Mm,
for me, because this is where it really turns bad, doesn't it?
yeah. Yeah.
They
This
get
is
given all
when,
these coins, fling at the thing there. But I just love these visuals, like that
yeah.
moon and the sky in this town,
Mm,
and him with the little hat on, the little fez. Well,
it's a
it's
cute
meant.
image, isn't it?
Well, it's very dreamlike, and it's like
Mm,
It's. I think he's got one of these little hats on because it's meant to be one of those like little performing monkey hats. But
yeah,
obviously
that's right.
he's
Yeah.
huge,
Mm,
and but it's like I feel so bad for Joe in this because he's got this little
mm,
money pot, and it's like,
yeah.
oh god.
Just
But
humiliated him.
yeah, and you got Jill stood there like playing this machine. It's like I just feel so
Mm,
bad for Joe here, but at the same time,
yeah.
the visuals are just astounding.
Yeah.
Now
So all
these
those coins that are flying across,
are they hand
they're
animated?
hand animated by, I forget who the name of the guy was, but he was one of the early Disney animators.
All right.
So they got him in to do some tests, and when they were satisfied of the way it went, they just got him to do the whole thing. And then they composited it over the live action cell.
Hmm. Yeah, it works really well. Yeah, because this
Mm.
guy then throws the bottle. Oh.
So you could see that in today's society.
Mm.
Just people get drunk, and then it's just like they just have to take it a little bit too far. Go on, Joe. Tell him a new one.
Oh yeah, because they were trying to throw their coins in there to get like a
Mm,
prize, weren't they? If the Joe
yeah.
caught it. Guys like, come on, sit down, join the party. And then you see Roland Tembo walk trying to beat him up. Cut out the rough stuff or I'll throw you to the lions. And I love it. It's like, he means literally. Like, it's not like a saying, like, I'll throw you to the lions. It's like, no, he's literally got lions right there.
Oh, that reminds me actually. So the scene where Joe was holding up the piano
Mm.
earlier on, there was an early idea that O'Brien had that he did I think it was like a watercolor illustration of Joe on stage, and he was supposed to hold up a horse with a cowboy on top of it throwing lasso. They would have other horses behind him that also had cowboys with lassos, and then in the rafters of the stage, you had lions and tigers on balls that were just basically hovering above the stage. And that was supposed to be like a mixture of live action, stop motion, matte paintings, the works. And the only reason that they decided against it was because they just didn't have the time or the budget. But it was something that could be done, but they just
Yeah.
didn't have the time for it. But I could
Shame.
imagine that if they had actually done it, that would have been so impressive to see all these different elements just working away.
Mm. Scene of
There we
these
go.
three drunk guys coming up, and then they get him drunk, don't they? They give Joe
Yeah, that's
all the
right. Yeah.
wine.
Ray had a lot of fun with this one. He put a bit of plasticine just underneath the lip, so once he gets that drunken stupor about him, his lower lip just kind of like droops down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just like,
And
I
it must be
love it.
fun because it's like for Ray, it's like animating all these different like behaviors and
Mm,
personality traits, and obviously to get that character drunk, and then you get a
yeah.
whole different character out of the same one. Speaking of which, I am drinking beer right.
And I love the transition as well between the real glass and the stop motion glass. It's like, even though you can tell it's an obvious transition because he stands in front of it to pass it over,
Mm,
but then when you see the bottle that they use, it's like more or less identical. It's not even like it's an obvious
yeah.
like difference in the model or
I
anything.
love those transitions. You see a lot of them in these sort of films,
Mm,
and I just love it because like you can tell how it's done, but
mm,
you get invited into the filmmaking process. I always
yeah,
it's like in a cartoon when you see like a different part of the scene is like a different cell, and you can tell
yeah,
because it's not hand painted. It's like, well, it's painted, but you can tell because it's like standing out above the rest, and you're like, in a
yeah,
minute, whatever that is, that's going to move in a second.
yeah.
And you know it for certain. It's like that. It's like you just know when someone hands something to a stop motion
Mm,
character or something. Same sort of thing. I just love that.
mm. Yeah, Ray was quite involved with this. He he was pretty much on board from like the early concepts stage. So he was brought into like story meetings, and they would like give ideas out, and O'Brien would draw up these like concept sketches and some storyboards and watercolors and what have you, and they would incorporate them into the script. But
Mm,
yeah, this was probably the first instance that Ray actually got a real feel for what it was like to be a filmmaker, because in previous his stuff, it was like he was animating on his own time, and then when he got onto Puppet Tunes, he was basically just replacing animated models, so there wasn't really any kind of like filmmaking process there. Whereas when he came onto this, he was from the very start, and this is where he pretty much picked up all his tricks for his later stuff, really.
yeah, yeah. Joe having that drink of that bowl. Yeah, he's got that lower lip look now.
Yeah. Like, "Ugh."
It's so subtle, but it doesn't. Yeah, it works.
To think this is one of like Ray's first ever shots. It's like you'd look at this and you think this has been someone that's been animating for years.
Mm.
It's like you can really see it.
Oh, did he
The
burn
only thing
him?
yeah, he burnt his hand with a lighter. The only thing I'm not sure about though is whether they're looking at a rear projection screen or whether this has been composited on, because the level of where they were stood was lower than the screen that you see on the
Was
floor
that's
there.
and it's also like how the way like Kong Joe just then stepped out of the cage
Mm,
after breaking the door onto the bit where they were just stood. Like it's completely seamless.
yeah,
And this is it, isn't it? This is where it all goes.
yeah. This is where it all hits the shit hits the fan, as they say.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like these visuals are like it's very surreal because it's like a fake jungle, but
Mm,
at the same time it's yeah, it's all adding to that sort of surreal, dreamlike
mm,
quality.
yeah, just love it when they start breaking stuff. Oh, and that's a Fay Ray cameo screen.
Oh, was that her?
Yeah, it wasn't her. I wanted to be her, but no, they had her scream on audio, so they
Oh,
just
right.
like with the Wilhelm screen, they just put it into everything. They kind of did it with Fay Ray here, but I was really hoping that they actually got her in for a cameo, but they didn't. Yeah, I just love it when they start trashing stuff, because all those overhead wires that are controlling all these little bits and pieces that are falling down, it's just, oh, it's insane.
Mm. And the stunt work in this film as well, like with the live action
Oh
actors,
yeah,
I love how he destroys the roof.
Ooh, nearly lost his footing.
It's so well animated. Oh, he's got the piano.
Oh, there goes the piano. Hey, there we go. Just narrowly missing that guy.
This is the kind of film I hope that like one day they'd remaster it. And I know like obviously it's a bit of a shame when you remove stuff, so it'd be good to have a version on Blu-ray where it's like they have this untouched version and then they have the version where they like use CGI to like remove the wires and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that shot of his like underneath his legs as he's swinging.
This is brilliant, isn't it?
There's just so much going on. Like he's like smashing the roof while they're underneath it, like climbing out.
No, it's just so well done. I mean, you can obviously tell that that's like a live action piece underneath with the obvious split for the stop motion on top, but you get so sold into it, you don't really think about it. As a visual effects person, you can tell how they've done it, but as the average audience, animated camera pan, that would have been so difficult to do back in the 1940s.
Yeah. That shot where he like, and the weight that Ray gets when he was like swinging and he lands on the roof, and instead of like landing on it, it just completely crumbles under his weight.
Gives out, yeah.
That poor lion. Joe, no!
Just the crap out of it. Boosh!
Just threw it in the window. Oh my god, brutal.
Now it was almost a little bit more brutal. Again, in O'Brien's early concepts, he had Joe fighting these lions, but then throwing them into a tank full of sharks.
Oh my
so you
god.
would have seen these lions being eaten by sharks. It's just crazy.
On these actual live action lions. I love that just repeating the shot of those lions coming out. Like these actors had to act with these lions.
Oh, there we go.
That was close. That was a bloody real life Timmy in the freezer moment. Oh, Joe,
Oosh.
what are you doing to that lion? Oh my god, I forgot how like insane this scene is.
Brilliant, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh no.
There we go. He's going for a cuddle. It's all right.
God, he just boshes it in the head.
So that here they tilted the set at an angle and completely waxed the floor. So then they just let the lion go to give him that sliding effect. It's like just all that effort just for that one shot.
Yeah. Oh, and you got all these lions like attacking Joe now.
Here we go.
They didn't do this scene in the 1998 remake, and I was like, when I watched this for the first time, obviously I didn't really know what to expect. Oh, that poor lion. I didn't know what to expect. And then when I watched this, I was like, how did they not do this whole sequence in the new one? Like, with all the new special effects and stuff. I was like, how is the 1949 one way more innovative and interesting and better than what they did in the 98 one? Like, the 98 one's an okay film. It's not the worst thing in the world. But, like, this is just, like, a masterpiece.
Yeah, in comparisons, like to me, the 49 one is much more enjoyable to watch than the 98 remake. It, like you say, in terms of its effects, it's good, but I wouldn't say it's better.
No, this is way better.
Joe was a animatronic man in a suit throughout that film, and this one you've got a stop motion gorilla, and it somehow works better.
Yeah, they had CGI in the other one as well, but it's like...
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And CGI, like, it doesn't hold up in parts, but it does in others. But this is the thing, that this is where it's like, it's not really about the effects, but this one, what it does with its effects is like so much more impressive because it's almost like you know how they did it, but then you don't know how they achieved the shots.
Yeah.
Like that one where Joe was like, he jumped onto that tree and it pulled the wires down, and literally Joe brought the whole house down. Like that whole set was pulled down. I don't know. It's just there's so much going on. Like, to get this scene where Joe trashes. Like, imagine being back in the 1946 and someone comes up to you with the script for this film, and then you read it and you're like, how in the hell are we going to achieve this?
Yeah, yeah.
But then
Like
they
you
did.
think of the 40s, and you don't think this level of effects work really.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute, boys. Shooting the line. This is where we get like this whole courtroom sequence about like,
Yeah,
I don't know if we actually see it. I can't remember now. Yeah.
I
Like,
think you see a little bit of it. Originally, there was I don't know if it was all fully filmed or whether they just kind of like uh, edited parts out in the script writing process. But originally there was supposed to be a longer court sequence, and I think even the meeting that they had in Max O'Hara's office earlier on before he opened up the show, there was supposed to be a longer discussion, but trimmed it down, which I think works, rightly so. I don't think he needed much more in order for him to defend Joe and such, but I don't know. It's no Ian Malcolm Jurassic World cameo, let's put it that way.
yeah. There's shots like this is where I get confused how they did it. Like, she's in the foreground, but he's in the background. So did you say it would have been rear projection? So
Yeah,
Ray would have done the animation and then they projected it on a sheet behind there. So
yeah,
she was
that's right.
actually.
Yeah,
But what I don't get about that is like there's no shadows on the
yeah.
sheet. You don't see any of the like. I don't know. It's like
Mm,
I guess it's down to lighting. Like, it just
yeah. I
looks
mean,
it looks so good.
at this stage in the game, O'Brien has probably nailed how to do rear projection stuff, because he did actually create from scratch, I think, or he modified 5 rear projection cameras for this film. And as far as I'm aware, they actually still exist today. Actually, I think there's one at Ireland. Ray took one, and a couple other people have them. Um, so at this stage in the game, rear projection's probably an easy thing to do. Whereas if you were to ask someone to do the same thing now, they probably wouldn't have a clue where to go, and they'd think, well, we'll just green screen it, because that's
Yeah.
effectively what rear projection is. For those who aren't familiar with the term, is this is the predecessor to everything that you have for blue screen and green screen.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love this bit.
The breakout sequence.
Yeah, but it's just Robert Armstrong's performance in this bit. It's just brilliant. It's like, oh, my heart. Not quite got there yet, but yeah, he's just brilliant.
The old heart, help me.
Imagine if someone just did that to you in front of the street now, you'd think, yeah, whatever.
People just pull out their phone filming you.
Yeah,
You're
that's
like, no,
true.
help me, help me. my old heart.
Call me an ambulance.
Whatever the latest thing, or whatever it's called. That would be. Yeah, like this with like the bars that are going at the angle as well.
Mm,
It's just so well done.
mm. I think what they've done there is that they've got the rear projection behind the actual 8. So what been filmed animated originally would have been the cage without the cage front.
Hmm.
So they could have just projected it onto the back of the set cage. So I'm thinking they've done it because with her being as close as she was to that lock, there's no way that they could have avoided shadow or anything on that.
Yeah.
I love the music in this as well. Absolutely
Yeah, I was just
phenomenal job.
look who did them.
I think it was Roy Webb. Yeah, Roy Webb did this one.
What else did he
I had
do?
a, I had a look at his IMDb and I couldn't see anything on there that I've seen, at least anyway, that I recognise him for. The only title that I recognise that I've never actually seen it, I only know it because O'Brien was supposed to have worked on it, is Last Days of Pompeii, which I think was
Okay.
done in 38 or 39, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's the only other credit that I've seen him in.
I know they do this whole breakout sequence in the remake. They do have this sort of thing,
Mm,
but no comparison. I love
yeah.
this old truck they use, flat front. Can't remember what they're
Mm,
called.
I don't know what they're called, actually, to be honest with you.
I think my one of my granddad, he bus driver. He
Mm,
also made seats for buses
okay.
near Birmingham.
Mm,
Drive a bus that well, it looked like that, a truck, but
mm.
O'Hara. I love he says police headquarters and then he has to ring.
Yeah.
He just picks up the phone. Police headquarters.
Oh God, is yeah, because every oh jeez,
Comedy in this.
oh it's perfect,
It even says
absolutely
Western on it, so
perfect.
is that thinking that says Western on it? I'm off in my head. I won't even begin to explain. Sabotage the car as well.
What did they do? Did they just pull something out, or did they just unplug something?
Yeah, I think they took something.
It's good. This that you get Max O'Hara actually repenting for deciding to bring Jill and Joe over in the first place.
Yeah, and his character does that in Son of Kong, doesn't he? He
Yeah.
regrets what he did to King Kong.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that. He's almost like Jurassic Park, but it's kind of like John Hammond, like regretting
Yeah.
what he.
Mm.
Yeah, Great Western. It says on the side there.
Oh
Thinking,
yeah, it does. Yeah.
yeah. And my granddad used to work. It's like I know this isn't America, but
Mm.
hey, they had Great Western Railway and all that.
Okay.
That was like an imported van or something.
Mm. Oh, he's taking the police radio. I'm wondering what that was. Oh God, this bit.
Oh yeah, the homeless guy trying to hitch a ride.
Oh. Yeah, I don't care about what the screams are about, but Joe's okay.
Yeah.
Could have crushed a man with his bare hands, but Joe's okay, so it doesn't matter. That's my old stone.
He's not even speaking anything like English. There's no subtitles for him.
So I wonder for this whether this dialect that he's speaking is actually real or not, because
I
I
don't think
didn't
it is.
realize until what was it now? I think it was one of the last conversations I had with Ray. He went to the Neas Islands for a holiday with his wife,
Mm.
and he tried using the dialects that they used in Kong. So he went up to this native on the docks and he said, "Bala, bala, kon nadahi." This native just looked at him, put his hands on his hips, and went, "What are you talking about in plain English?" So they just made up this completely fabricated language for Kong.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder whether they did the same thing for that.
No, yeah, I think he's not talking anything. He was like, I don't even think he's. I think he's just maybe like some drunken hobo that like. But the joke was that like he said all that, and they're like, "Yeah, we've got word of an escaped gorilla." It's like he understood him perfectly.
I hope you're all enjoying this because I'm loving it.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love this movie. We said it's not action, but like this whole end sequence is.
Oh
But it's
yeah.
not. But not action as in. I don't know how to explain it. It's not action as in. The apes on the rampage
Yeah.
action. It's action as in it's story driven
Yeah.
sense that it's like the characters are trying to get him to safety and all.
Yeah. So any shots that you're going to see with Joe at the back of the truck, from in the canvas back back of the truck, sorry, um, they're all Pete Peterson's shots.
Okay.
But I don't know if Ray had started those and then Peterson took over. It's the only thing I'm not sure about. Imagine if this is how the ending of Lost World happened.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's that guy. Do you recognize him?
No.
Right. Do you remember the sailor in The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms who survived the Heredisaur attack and identified the beast by paleo art?
Oh, is that him?
It's the same actor, but he was also the same actor in It Came from Beneath the Sea that survived the giant octopus attack on a sea ship as well.
He's just like the
It's like the guy's so
cameo.
unlucky.
Yeah.
First, he tried working on a truck, and that didn't go down well. Then he went onto one ship, that didn't work down well. By the time he got the third ship, he said, "No, three times and too much." Oh dear.
We got
Oop, there we go.
a little bit of stop motion with the truck.
Yep. This was a huge set. So there's photos online of Peterson animating this shot, and he's about well, let's put it this way: his hip comes just below the tabletop, and his upper torso is basically towering over this model truck, and I think that's the 15-inch Joe that they've got there.
Mm.
But then later in the shot, you'll see a tiny little car, which I think is supposed to be the police car that's coming up round the bend of the mountain. So to get that distance for perspective, the set had to be probably a good couple of feet deep. There you go. So
Oh yeah.
just swinging around. So all that's all one stop motion set.
Hmm.
Go on, Joe. Go on, Joe. You can just see kids doing this with their own webcams and stuff, just stop motion dinky cars just driving around
Yeah.
everywhere.
Robert Armstrong wrestling with a police officer. I like him showing his teeth like that. The
Mm.
weight when he shakes the truck.
No, they did really good job. Really good job with him.
I wonder, did Ray Harryhausen, who designed Mighty Joe Young then? Was it Harryhausen?
So, so Mighty Joe Young was designed by Brian, and then they had Marcel Delago build him, but the armature was delegated to somebody else. So, although O'Brien designed the armature for it, he didn't actually build it. It was supposed to go to some guy
Ah,
called Cunningham, but he outsourced it to somebody else.
okay. We just cut
Here
to
we
the
go.
red, yeah. Like when I saw this for the
Yeah,
first time, I was like, what? I was like,
yeah.
no way. I was like, that's such a clever idea because this whole
Mm,
fire at the orphanage or the children's home is such a clever way of showing colour
yeah.
in a very simple way and making this film stand out.
Mm.
But just to go back to the design thing quickly, the only
Sure.
reason I say that, Art was querying who designed it, because obviously he has a very King Kong look to him. Like it
Mm.
almost looks like they did just take a mold of King Kong for his
Well,
face.
they actually based it more on a gorilla this time than what they did with Kong. With Kong, it was just kind of like he was like an ape-like creature, so they could have a little bit more artistic license with him. But
Okay.
with Joe, they really wanted to emphasis that he was just a gorilla and not anything in that sort of like monster vein
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
things. Kind of goes with what we were saying before about how this is more like a character film rather than a monster movie like what Kong is.
Yes, yeah. 100.
I think if I remember rightly, the model building that they've got burning here is about 8 feet tall. Quite big for I mean, I suppose if you want to get the flames to scale, it's probably a good size. But yeah, it's quite a big model for
Yeah.
this one scene.
You got the cowboy guy here using his lasso tricks. It's like every character gets to do something in this
Mm.
film. Got Jill saving kids, going in the burning building. Got the T-1000 turning into
He's
liquid
entering
and
the
going
building.
in. Yeah. He's going through the keyhole. There's some rear projection there, right? That's
Yeah,
what that.
that's rear projection, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, this model house looks great. How about the wall goes and exposes it, and then look at this shot. Like this,
Yeah.
it looks so almost like dreamlike because you got the
Mm.
exposed stairs and the fire everywhere. Joe's like, "Oh my god!"
Like, what the F? Like, it does such a good performance with this. So I can't remember. I think this is the Marcel shot. I think it is. I can't remember who it was because O'Brien, like I say, O'Brien didn't animate all that much on this film,
Hmm.
and the same with Marcel. But I can't remember how much in terms of shot wise. I wish I had just a shot list of everything that I could identify. That's a Ray shot. That's a Ray shot. That's a Peterson shot. There were some shots you look at them and you think, oh, well, that's definitely a Ray shot. But then you look at others and you question it a little bit in terms of the subtlety of the performance.
Yeah.
Go on, Joe. Listen to the repeat voice.
I think shots like this, where he's like on top of, not on top of the roof, that looks like Ray.
Mm,
There's certain behavioural characteristics that he gives his
yeah.
characters.
Mm.
and like
This
any
is clever.
building destruction.
Yeah, that was so clever.
That was awesome. Breaking a building to reveal characters on the inside.
Mm,
There's just so many tricks. Like when you just after you see the lion sequence, you think, how are they going to top, or are they
yeah,
even going to top that? You don't. I didn't expect this sequence when I was watching it, so I did. I thought we'd seen the best thing
yeah.
in terms of spectacle that the film had to offer, and then
Mm.
this happened, and I was like, oh my word! Like this is crazy.
I mean, in comparison to the '98 remake, which do you prefer, the Ferris wheel rescue or the burning orphanage rescue?
Well, put it this way, I didn't even remember what the ending was, and then you said Ferris wheel rescue, and I was like, oh yeah, that's how it ended.
Yeah.
This, but then again, like I never really like owned the other film or like watched it that
Mm.
much. Even when I was younger, I wasn't overtly. I would watch it every now and then, but I wasn't like massively fussed by it.
Yeah.
They had I'd seen this I'd have probably watched all the time.
Yeah. I'm surprised that I don't recall much of this film from my youth at all. It's like I watch it now, and it's like I remember every detail, but as a kid, it's like I don't know. It must have been down to the fact there just wasn't any dinosaurs in it. It just didn't really grab me as much.
I would say that yeah, when I was a kid, that'd probably be a bit of an off-putting thing if I had seen it, because obviously I was massively dinosaur obsessed.
Mm.
But like I don't know, I think the effects will get me because like Jason the Argonauts has no dinosaurs in it, and that was one of my favorite
Mm.
films of all time, and still is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know whether you caught that. There's when they're lowering the bag down, they slowly shift the film format slightly, so it's not playing as 24 frames a second like it should do.
Why do they do
Just
that?
about. So as he was coming down, Joe was coming down the tree to let Jill off, and they were lowering the bag down with the kids. I don't know whether it's a case of the animator was going too quickly and the bag wasn't going quick enough, or whether the bag went down too quickly and they had to slow the footage down. But as the bag ascends, you can just see the flames going at normal speed, and then they just slightly slow down, and then they go back up to normal speed again.
Right, okay. No,
It's like
I didn't pick up on that actually.
uh, it's almost like that anaconda waterfall sequence all over again.
Oh god. God, that was funny. Joe going up to save the kid again.
Go on, Joe. Just
I
leave the
honestly
kid.
thought Joe was gonna die when I saw this the first time. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill him. Because I
Well,
thought,
this,
how often do big apes in these old
yeah,
stop motion movies survive?
survive. That's true. Because when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure that Joe actually died in this. There's never been a version of the film to the public, even back in the day, where the ending, is where he dies.
Hmm.
So I don't know where I got that memory from because the way I remember him dying was that he fell from the tree and he died because of the fall. So I'm not misremembering Kong because it was very clearly a building that he fell off and not a tree. And it's not Son of Kong because he drowns. So I don't know where I've got that memory from.
Hmm. Maybe it's just a false memory.
It could be. Kids dream up all sorts of crazy things these days.
Yeah, I thought some in this sequence when I was watching this, I thought somehow he's gonna save the kid, but he's gonna die.
Mm.
Because like this
I
is
mean,
a like so think of this like the comparisons to King Kong. It's a very
mm,
different film to King Kong, but at the end of this, like we've got him climbing up a tall,
yeah,
almost like the building, and he's got the girl in his hands. But
mm,
but the situation that the context is completely different.
yeah, yeah.
God,
There we go.
so tense.
Like you can feel your fingers just digging into the cinema seats, can't you?
Hmm. Oh, yeah, they're so lucky that it just stops just above the ground.
I'm curious though what it got caught on for it to stop like that, because I don't recall seeing any wall or anything there.
I think the idea is when trees fall around other trees, their branches get caught in amongst each other. But the problem here is that tree didn't have a big top to it, so.
Stop motion kid.
That must be right.
No, that's O'Brien. That.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. That's O'Brien.
Oh, this shot as well. This is great.
There we go. Boosh. And again, perfectly integrated rear projection, and you've got live stop motion elements being thrown onto a stop motion puppet. Just beautifully done. I bet that was the kid that started the fire in the first place.
Smoking in the closet.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the world who would shoot Joe now. I bet I could name a few people. Trophy Hunt.
Yeah, there we go. Straight back on the bloody ego trip again. Yeah, they got to do something because they're going to have a biggest show in the world. Jeez. I think he was actual real cowboy, actually, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he certainly plays the part, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I can't remember. Oh. I never bought that.
What, yipe?
Yeah, it's almost like a half-ass, like, like seeing a spider on a TV monitor and just
The
going,
thing is,
oh
though,
my
he's
God,
been
it's
around Joe already, so it makes no sense that he would be scared of him.
I couldn't understand like relief or something to make sure he's okay, but like, yipe. Still, I like his character.
Yeah.
He's forgivable.
Wave to the camera.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Joe.
So, what did you think then, Jack?
Love it. Honestly, in the last shot, goodbye from Joe Young.
Yeah,
At the end there.
Can't get any better than that.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of the best films ever made, in my opinion. Not only because it's like a huge spectacle effects, but it's also just the story and
the
way it's told and the characters, just everything about it. And I think it's so it's got moments in it that, like I said previously, it's so dreamlike, and it captures a certain feeling in myself that I'm just like, I'm surprised how this film doesn't get talked about more when people talk about like the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
And it's not just because it's got a giant ape saying that, I'm a monster. But it's it's everything about it, especially for the time it came out in and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone talks about King Kong, and rightly so, but this film, I'd say this film's arguably better. But it's not, but my favourite is King Kong, if I had to pick one. But in terms of actual filmmaking and story, I don't know, they're equal to me. There's not one that's better. It's like this is the perfect
they both
companion.
share that. Yeah, they both share the spotlight quite equally. But I agree with what you're saying though, because it's like you can notice the difference in not just like the special effects side of things, but in the filmmaking side of things. I mean, if you compare King Kong to Mighty Joe Young, it's only what was it, 33 to 49, so that's what 15 years, is it? 33 to 44, that'll be 10 years. So yeah, so we'll say 15 years because dyscalculia and I can't count. But yeah, in the space of 15 years, they've stepped up their game quite considerably for a visual effects film. That in most cases now, you're lucky if you get a massive step up in between the space of 5 years, let alone 10 years.
Well, no, well,
Whereas here,
in today's special effects, you do get changes in the space of 5 years, but because it's more, it tends to be more with the actual technology that you wouldn't necessarily notice. It's not as glaringly obvious as going from like King Kong to this, or like this to, let's say, Jurassic Park. It's more like there'll be a different algorithm that they use to that have wind effects on grass. So the CGI grass blows in a more realistic way. The fake wind. There's stuff you don't notice, and it has to be like if you go from like, I don't know, something from 2005 to now, you will see the difference.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like within a 5 year span, you're not going to notice much of a difference. But I guess 16 years between King Kong and this, I guess that is a good amount of time. But then you've got to think about like the technology they were dealing with as well.
Yeah.
And like the advances in technology were happening. I want to say slower, but not because. Yeah, probably slower. They had color. Color was now.
Yeah, and like I say, the majority of this film, it was O'Brien's innovation that would, like I was saying before about that he basically created from scratch 5 rear projectors. So he took the basics of what he learned from the previous films, like The Lost World and King Kong, and then applied them with other people. I can't remember the name of the engineer that he was working with. I think it was Cunningham actually. Um, to make these things run better, so he was getting the effect that he desired rather than having to just basically mend and make do with the things that was available to him at the time.
Yeah.
But I think one thing you'll find that's interesting, the budget for this film, how much would you say for back in 1940s?
200,000.
Bit higher.
Oh, a bit higher. Okay, 700.
Started out as 1.2 million.
Oh wow. Okay.
And by the end of production, it was 1.5 million. But the thing that put the nail in the coffin for O'Brien for this film was the studio had just been bought out by a guy called Howard Hughes.
Okay.
And at the time, Mighty Joe Young was the only thing at the studio that was being filmed. So I don't know whether he greenlit it or whether he just decided this was going to be the thing to do or whether it was a thing that was done anyway. But the studio costs and overheads were all lumped onto Mighty Joe Young's budget. So the end budget by everyone else's official standards was 2.28 million.
Okay, so back in the day, it was like a blockbuster, money wise.
No, it was a huge flop.
No, I meant a blockbuster as in they spent
the
blockbuster money on making this film.
Yeah. So I don't know what that is by today's standards. I'm hoping someone will actually look into it and figure that out. But yeah, it was like if it was just done as the 1.5 million as the official budget, then he might have actually got other work from that. But they decided that because it was so expensive, because they also wanted to do a sequel to this film, Mighty Joe Young meets Tarzan,
Oh wow.
and because of that 2.28 million figure that was always looming around as an official figure for the film, people just didn't want to do it. They didn't want to take the risk that, considering that Joe, although it was well received, it was still a flop for the studio. It didn't bring in half the amount of what they wanted, I don't think. So they just kind of like stopped doing stop motion creature films. And that's why a majority of films after this film were all very low budget features because they just didn't think that there was any money in it.
Oh man, shame. Like, could
I
you
know.
imagine if they didn't see that way? What sort of monster movies we would have got, like in the 60s, 50s era? I mean, we got some classics out of there, but it's like, yeah, it's like imagine if the studio believed in the.
Yeah. I mean, just to clarify it for everyone else that's listening as well, when I say that they were doing the studio heads and overheads and stuff, that's, for example, if Universal only had Jurassic Park on filming on their site, that would be all the Universal staff, all the Universal heads, executives, producers, catering equipment, everything. But everything that Universal would have been running would have all gone onto Jurassic Park's budget. That's
Crazy.
what we're talking about. It's absolutely mental. But you know, for what it is, for what it was at the time, it was a fantastic film, and I'm kind of interested how that sequel would have gone actually of Joe being meeting Tarzan because I know it would have been all set in Africa, so he wouldn't have left anywhere else. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
it makes
was
me
a
wonder. Like, it's not.
shame.
He's meeting Tarzan. Like in those old
Mm,
films, like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Like they do
yeah.
fight. So like, would
Mm,
Tarzan have a brawl with Joe Young?
mm,
Be
no.
interesting.
Oh, I remember what I was talking about before. I was talking about O'Brien. Yeah, the thing that kind of killed him off in his career. Um, he was working on a script for Frankenstein versus Kong because there was a fight sequence that
Oh,
was supposed to
it's
happen.
Godzilla versus Kong, or
Yes,
King Kong
yeah,
versus
that fight. Yeah,
Godzilla. Oh man.
yeah. So the fight that he wanted in Mighty Joe Young was to have two gorillas fight on top of the cable car, which got scrapped. But he decided to put that fight into the Frankenstein versus Kong script. And then, of course, that script was taken by I forget the name of the producer now, but he was taken out from O'Brien without his knowledge, taken over to Toho and sold to them, and then they created Godzilla versus Kong. So when he saw that film, that was his final straw, basically, and he died not long after that.
Oh man.
So he was working right up until the bitter end, and
Yeah. So
he's
oh
had
yeah,
such a
because you said he was working in the '60s. Hang on,
yeah,
Kong v Godzilla was King Kong vs '62, so he couldn't have been
mm.
working long into the.
Yeah, no, I think he died in something like 63, 64, something like that. It was not long at all. It's like, in fact, I think his wife went on record as something saying that it was seeing how he was treated on that particular project that just completely broke his heart and his will to do anything else. And he died shortly after. So yeah,
Yeah.
so he had a great career, but in terms of like the way that people responded to him and his ethics,
Hmm.
he was just mistreated very badly,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Of the beast sometimes.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's like I always wonder what like Hollywood would have been like with foresight, if they or hindsight,
Mm,
if they could know what was going to be done, would they buy things differently? Would they put more money into different films?
mm,
Oh yeah, we should back. I don't know.
yeah,
Hindsight's always 20/20, as they say.
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. But no, yeah, Mighty Joe Young. I want more people to watch this film. Like
Yeah.
I said earlier, or commentary that I have a feeling that this film's sort of under acknowledged. Not that it's not
Mm,
underappreciated or underrated, because everyone who
mm,
sees this tends to rate it highly and they
yeah.
tend to appreciate it. It's just I don't think it gets recognized or is talked about enough as it should, especially in terms of its story and
Mm,
it's I don't know. It's that just every single nail is hit.
mm,
The faults I have with the film are just nitpicky technical faults, like
yeah.
the wiring, or like when things are falling. It's like if you remove those, you know
Mm,
you'll be the effect will be sold more. And obviously,
yeah.
part of me likes seeing the strings because like I watch Thunderbirds and stuff, so I'm like I don't mind
Yeah.
seeing the strings really. But there is a part of me that's like if I have to pick one fault, that's probably it.
Yeah.
But they're a nitpick. But yeah, this
Mm,
film, love it, absolutely love
yeah.
it, one of the best.
No, it's a real gem, and considering this is like Ray's first stepping stone into filmmaking as well, it's yeah, you can really see
Mm.
what O'Brien saw in him and what other people saw in him, and his whole passion for filmmaking in general and storytelling. It's like I mean, Kong is a great way to start off in terms of being inspired, but to have Mighty Joe Young as your first feature, it's like yeah, that was just too good a coincidence to come off really. So no, it's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, man, for doing this, and
Yeah, you're
I'm
welcome.
sure we'll be back real soon. Are we going to do Beast from 20,000 Fathoms next? Is that next?
Oh, if we can, please. I
All right.
absolutely love that movie.
think I might ask if others want to join us for that one because I feel like they're going to be more inclined. Because I did put the message out for others to see just before we did this, and they were all like, "No,
Yeah,
we're all busy. Yeah, we're all
yeah,
busy."
it's a
But
giant gorilla. We don't care about that. But oh, dinosaur. Okay.
but I did say to you that like I think for the first one or maybe even the first couple, like if it was just me and you having a chat, because everyone can talk over one another. Kind of nice to have an expert in the field have a perspective on this, and someone like me.
Actually,
My expertise in this is just watching, keep my eyes open.
Speaking of expert, I forgot that we didn't introduce why I'm classed as the expert. Actually, I'm not only just an ambassador for the Ray and Harryhausen Foundation, but I did my master's degree, which I actually passed. So I got a
Oh,
master's with merit.
congratulations!
Thank you very much. So that was all based on Ray's early career. So that this film would have fallen under that radar of being in that early career category. So yeah, there we go.
Get the right people in for the job. When I watch Anaconda, I'll get Clayton. When I get when I watch Mighty J. Young, I get Mike. But anyway. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this commentary, and we'll be back soon with some more Harryhausen goodness. Stay safe out there.